So I also had to a little bit think, okay, I know I couldn't get a version done and offered into the market at that price point, doing it here in the US. So I also had to set aside a little bit that like we live in a global marketplace today. And so I would rather have a product that I really feel is a valuable quality product be available in the US market and be very transparent about it. So if I do have a version that I put the SwiftPaws brand name on, we're going to let people know this product is manufactured in China, but it's done by a partner of ours, and that's why we can bring it to you at a price point that we simply can't. So our dog-oriented products are still made in the USA. I don't have any intention of offshoring those. So it's not like a move, all or nothing, but this new product I couldn't get made here for that price. So because it's already there, I can let my morals step aside for a moment on that and still stay true to my core of the products that I've built and created, and I'm not taking business away.
So we are here at the ST Reunion 24 conference in Tampa, Florida, and I'm excited. This makes me happy because I'm here with Meghan from SwiftPaws. I am going to have her talk about her product before we get off into the questions. I know we're talking offline, and we have a lot to update each other with. But again, for those of you, I've interviewed Meghan before, so again, we're not going to go over some of the same things that we talked about before. Please go check out that interview, Everything Intellectual Property. Go check out that full interview. It was an amazing interview. But again, Meghan, for the audience who's maybe here for the first time, can you maybe explain to them a little bit about SwiftPaws and what it is that you guys sell?
Yeah, first of all, David, it's so good to meet you in person.
For sure.
And I love your energy. I loved your energy when we had our interview. Absolutely. And like in person is just so much more awesome. So this is amazing. It was actually kind of a surprise to see you here. And I locked eyes with you and I was like, oh my God, I know him from somewhere. It's David. It was a magical moment. So yeah, we get to catch up, and I think our interview was like a little while ago.
For sure.
SwiftPaws has had quite the journey since then, and I've got some updates for you on the IP side. But for anybody who doesn't know what SwiftPaws is, we are a brand that makes dog toys. But it's not dog only. We welcome cats and other species as well. We are an enrichment-focused brand that makes playful products. Our hero brand, our hero product, the one that we took on Shark Tank, is basically a game of capture the flag for your pet. So you get to create a game of chase in your backyard. You control the speed and direction of a fake squirrel, and then your pet gets to chase and catch to their heart's content. So it's a really amazing, fun time for both the pets and the pet parents.
For sure. So then, let me ask you this, being here at the ST Reunion 24 conference here in Tampa with pretty much everyone who's at some point been on Shark Tank. I was kind of talking to JD earlier for Xcraft, I think was the company name, and he was back on season 7, which was almost, 10 years ago. Now it's season 16. So what is a few of the things that you're looking forward to over the weekend? This is still only day one. I feel like I've got enough for the whole weekend just today, but what are some of the things that you're looking for with this conference over the weekend?
Yeah, so this is not my first reunion. I've attended in the past, and one of the best things for me about being able to have the full Shark Tank experience, I mean, it goes, obviously, being on the show, filming, airing. I got to do a deal with Lori, the relationship with her, but the gift that really keeps on giving is the connections and relationships that I get to build with fellow founders. It's not easy as a founder of any type of company. We're in the trenches, and so to connect with other Shark Tank founders, we're in all sorts of different types of businesses, right? I make dog toys. Some of them are out there with some software companies, some food-related stuff. So we're in so many different verticals and niches, but we all share that common bond. And so for me, it's shared experiences. And it's sort of like a what happens here stays here, peer-to-peer group. We can talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, what's working for you, what isn't, what are some challenges. And it's such an open and welcoming community because we've all sort of bonded over the fact that we've had this shared experience of Shark Tank. And every single time I get together with fellow Shark Tank founders, I learn something.
No, and again, Meghan, she's not going to toot her own horn, but I'll toot it. And I don't want to get the name wrong. So what is it that Lori gives out, I think, at least once a season?
Yes.
She said it before, but she said it on an interview that we did before. But is it the golden
It is. It's the golden ticket. So I actually wear it.
I'm going to say typically
not to be like kind of hokey here, but
for sure. So, and again, what the golden ticket is pretty much, obviously, for those of you who watch Shark Tank, which is everybody, it's a bargain for exchange, just let's say. So you put out your ask, and then the sharks kind of counter. But I'll let you explain what the golden ticket is and the importance of that.
So the golden ticket is Lori's own creation. And I think she was thinking like golden buzzer, like something that was kind of special. So full disclosure, the other sharks think that it is ridiculous. But for Lori, the golden ticket means, and she'll give it out only once a season if she gives it out. There's some seasons where she doesn't.
I didn't realize
it's for a founder that she feels the business, the founder, everything is so strong that she is going to offer them exactly what they came in asking for. So that's what the golden ticket means. It means she's not going to get to negotiate. She's just going to give you an offer of what you asked for. And for me, it was like waterworks. That's when I broke down. I'm crying. It was not pretty tears. It was some ugly crying going on in the tank. But it was that, like, what it meant to me was that validation of it's worth it and I'm worth it.
I like that.
And that's honestly like self-worth and, imposter syndrome and all these things that I think a lot of founders struggle with. For me, it was that validation. So I wear it around, and people are like, oh, you should frame that. And yeah, it might get a little dinged up because I'm wearing it around, but it's that little reminder to me that like what I'm doing is worthy. Yeah.
And especially when I know a lot of times, I know in America here, we about some things that we probably shouldn't buy, but your product is one of those products that you are ultimately doing a good in society, especially when you're talking about pets, whether it's cats, whether it's dogs. It's not something that, again, it is a greater good that you're doing with your product, which I would imagine that you have to kind of feel good about. So now, as far as the update on the IP side of things, we're talking about this offline, and I'm excited for you to share this with the audience. So can you kind of share with the audience what you shared with me earlier about some of the IP and the kind of the back and forth you've had over maybe copycats and things like that, and how those were resolved, and how IP, particularly your patents, was a big part of that?
Yeah, I totally can. So I like to say that, we, as a community, we know that human children, need building blocks and playgrounds to stimulate their brains and bodies. My argument is pets are no different. So they need both mental and physical stimulation. We call that enrichment every single day. And our products strive to offer them that. And they're an investment. Our products are not cheap. They are made in the US. But I will also say that one of the best things we did was pursue IP. So the sport of lure coursing, which is kind of what this activity stems from, is not new, but we created sort of these novel and unique improvements to the equipment that you can use to run the sport. And that is what we secured our patents on. It basically made it more easily accessible, easier to run, safer. So there's a lot of things that the improvements, as I was discovering the sport and wanted to try it and was building my own equipment, it's like, wow, this is a pain, or this is kind of unsafe. So as you modify and you make improvements, then you go, well, has anybody else ever thought of this or done it? And then you go down that journey. So our first patent issued in 2020. We have a couple of continuations since then. So I think we've got like 3 utility patents and a few like trademarks and things like that. And it took a while because our product is expensive and complicated, but there are knockoffs. And so I think the first knockoff that I saw was on Amazon in 2021, and it stopped my heart. So I was like, oh no, here it comes. And thankfully, because I already had that issued utility patent, I was able to, on that platform, so every selling channel platform is going to have their own IP.
Yeah, for sure.
And like trademark is different than patent, but on Amazon's platform, they have an Apex program, which if another third-party seller is infringing on your utility patent, you can basically apply to become a part of this program. And we were successful, and so we were able to remove that seller. And I can't tell you what a huge win that is, because at that point in time, you fight and you work so hard for your brand, and the company, we just reinvest into the company over and over, and the company had not ever been profitable. So it's like we're not even reaching profitability yet, and now we're dealing with copycats. That is a huge blow to, especially a company that we're trying to do all of our assembly in the USA, and we do things in a way that isn't with affordability and cheap at the forefront, right? If I wanted to make it cheaper, I could, but I think I would lose out on quality and durability and safety. So it's like, what is that triangle? You can have it fast, good, or cheap, but you can only have two.
Yeah, 2 out of the 3. You can't have all 3.
It's that. So fast forward now. That was like my intro. I think we had already talked about, I had seen some of that stuff. I dealt with some of that stuff. The update is every now and again, I'll see something that infringes on my IP out there. And recently, this past year, I actually saw another product. This product was actually shifted and marketed towards cats, whereas we're predominantly, we allow cats. Cats are allowed, but we predominantly market our products to dogs.
And before you finish the story, I do have to say this because from a patent perspective, and any good patent attorney is going to tell you this, they're not writing the patent for any particular species.
Correct.
Or a particular pet, whether it's a dog, whether it's a cat, heck, it can be a raccoon, your hamster. No, we're just saying it in general. So it can be used by the dog or it can be used by other animals. So a good patent attorney is going to kind of write the patent to cover a lot of different things so that whether or not somebody is selling the course for dogs or selling the course for cats, they will still be hopefully, I don't want to say infringing, but they'll still be kind of, that course will still be reading on your claims, as we like to say.
Yes, if the product infringes on our claims, no matter who they're marketing it to, then it infringes on our claims. It could even be outside of the pet industry and it would infringe on the patent. So for us, when I see an infringing product, I also will buy one. Some of it's morbid curiosity, like, okay, what is this knockoff out here? And like I normally do, I purchased one. And for the first time ever, I was like, this actually is a decent little product. Like what they have done here, they haven't just fully ripped me off and made it cheaper. They still have something that's pretty durable, seems pretty high quality, seems pretty safe. Like they've really taken some time to do it well, and they made it way more affordable. I mean, they are manufacturing in China, whereas my products are as much as we can in the US, we do in the US, down to the circuit boards. The actual printed layered circuit boards are done here in the US, which very few companies will do that because it is a cost savings to go overseas. So this is a Chinese-made product, but it was a good quality product. So then I had like kind of an internal debate, and I was like, is it necessarily fair for me to block? So I did have the product removed from Amazon, first step, right? It does infringe on my IP, I had to take step number 1. But then in my head, I'm thinking, is it really fair for me as this IP owner to restrict the market, the US market, from having access to what I actually believe is kind of a neat little product that I can't offer? I certainly couldn't make, so my product is a lot stronger. It's primarily used outdoors. So this product isn't strong enough to run in your yard, but it's great for a living room, right? So it's kind of segmented from my product too. It doesn't really cross over. It doesn't really pose a huge threat to the product that I sell. So when they reached out and said, hey, we'd like to explore licensing your IP, I pursued it. And I'll tell you, people will really caution you when you're talking with foreign entities, no matter what country they're from, or even entities in the US. Licensing, you gotta be kind of careful, but they acted so transparently. And every time I sent something out, I got something back, and it was just like green flag, green flag, green flag, green flag. And for me, like building a relationship with anybody that I'm partnering with, a supplier, a customer, or a licensee, like I want that to be a healthy relationship. I don't want us to feel like adversaries. And so they were just acting in really good faith. Every single time we had a communication, it was just really open, really honest, really prompt. And that went all the way for me. I was like, I would be willing to do business with these people. So ultimately, I did secure a license agreement with them. And they now offer this product. We then released the product on Amazon. So it's back on Amazon. The brand is As Frost, and it is a cat version. And what is really cool is they have added in their bullet points on Amazon that it is protected with our US patent numbers, that is owned by and licensed from SwiftPaws. So they're also including in their listing the fact that the IP, it is still our IP.
And that's so important.
And that they have licensed it from us.
That's so important to let people know that, hey, we're selling this under a license from SwiftPaws.
Yes, and I think also we have customers who would see that and go, that's a knockoff, and they would almost shame them, maybe write bad reviews and go, this is a... And so now people can actually read in the listing and see, actually, no, this has SwiftPaws blessing. And as a brand owner too, I want my licensee to be treated with respect. If it's a legitimate product that I'm okay with being in the marketplace, I don't want them to get hate.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I know that I couldn't make that product in the U.S. and sell it at that cost.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing that I'm really excited to be exploring is a SwiftPaws branded version of that product that I can then offer to my own customers and even offer into like independent retail in the future.
No, so it seems like you're able to take this unfortunate situation at one point and turn it really into a revenue generating thing for SwiftPaws, which is a great thing. And then you're saying on the other side of things, with even the manufacturing end up being kind of a blessing in disguise because now with the Chinese manufacturing, they're kind of helping you out identify and kind of remove knockoffs from my understanding.
Yeah, so it's been really a surprise. It wasn't something that I went in thinking that it was going to be a benefit from this relationship. But of course, they don't want other entities selling this product. And so they will, if they discover infringing listings, they will share that with me. And then as the IP owner, I can then go in and whatever the removal process is. How brilliant is that? So, I mean, I used to spend hours every month kind of like searching and looking and doing image searches and seeing if there was any infringing listings out there in the marketplace. And now they're helping me do that.
For sure.
It's so cool.
No, that's sweet.
It's been a good partnership.
No, and look at I thought this was a great illustration of when IP works. And again, unfortunately, especially when you have a product that's successful, that people like, it's going to get knocked off, unfortunately. That's just kind of the name of the game. Some of the most successful products, some of the most successful brands have been kind of knocked off or copied or whatever the case may be. But the good thing in Meghan's case is that, number one, she was able to kind of get those copycats taken down, at least temporarily, but then also she was able to kind of really get a license. That's almost kind of what you want in a perfect world. I would probably say it almost worked out perfect as far as, number one, getting it taken down temporarily, and then number two, being able to talk about a license and ultimately entering into a license with the company. Now you have kind of an additional revenue source for SwiftPaws, really on something that you weren't, it's like it reads on your patent, which is good, but it wasn't something that you were doing initially with the cats being indoors or anything like that.
It wasn't coming after the niche that I have entered.
For sure.
So it wasn't a direct copy going after my audience.
Which is perfect.
And so it was really good timing. But let's talk about ego for a second, because when you first see something like that, you go, oh heck no, like not on my turf.
For sure.
You have to push that down a little bit. And as a human being, I get, a little mad when somebody is copying something that I've worked really hard to create. And I would say that it's taken me some time. So if I hadn't gone through seeing other knockoffs, and if I hadn't had sort of repetitions of this is just a part of business, I might not have been prepared to be in the right headspace to pursue a business relationship when this one came along. So, I mean, the timing was good too, because I was in a healthy space where I could recognize what it was, but then also be open to the potential that it could be a positive.
I like that. And would you say that was because you maybe just didn't know? Because again, a lot of times you've been in business doing SwiftPaws for a long time, but maybe not to that level where, hey, you have to put your ego down and say, okay, let's see if I can. Because typically, if somebody's copying your product, you don't think naturally like, okay, let me enter into a business relationship with this person. You're like, screw this person. I want to kind of beat them at all costs. So it's like not natural, but was there somebody that gave you advice to say, hey, look at this differently? Or like, how did you ultimately come to that conclusion to say, I need to look at this differently and see if I can turn this into a positive, not only for me, but for the brand SwiftPaws?
Good question. So I think the first thing was when I got the product and tried it out, I was actually impressed by the fact that it was a quality product.
For sure.
And that, I mean, most of the knockoffs are very cheap. You get what you pay for. And this one, like, they have a little cool magnetic closure on the pulleys. I'm just like, oh man, I would love for some of those features to be in my product. And then you have to set, one of my values is that for our products, I like to do as much as I can here. So some things, like we've got some versions that are powered by a LiPo battery. We don't pack LiPo cells in America, so the LiPo batteries do come from overseas. But what I can get done here, I get done here. And so, it takes also a little bit of going, okay, but there are customers out there who would love to give their pet this type of enrichment who cannot afford. My cheapest version of my product is $300. They might not be able to afford that, but that might also be overkill. that might have a power. So that version can do 20 miles an hour. It can run up to 100 feet long. You can take it out in your backyard. You can run it indoors too, but that's overkill for a living room and a cat. So I also had to a little bit think, okay, I know I couldn't get a version done and offered into the market at that price point, doing it here in the US. So I also had to set aside a little bit that, like, we live in a global marketplace today. And so I would rather have a product that I really feel is a valuable quality product, be available in the US market, and be very transparent about it. So if I do have a version that I put the SwiftPaws brand name on, we're going to let people know this product is manufactured in China, but it's done by a partner of ours, and that's why we can bring it to you at a price point that we simply can't. So our dog-oriented products are still made in the USA. I don't have any intention of offshoring those. So it's not like a move, all or nothing, but this new product I couldn't get made here for that price. So because it's already there, I can let my morals step aside for a moment on that and still stay true to my core of the products that I've built and created. And I'm not taking business away from that side. And I can still bring in a product at a price point that I couldn't offer to people otherwise. And that's where you have to really balance it out and go, is this really for the better good of all? And I believe it is.
So do you think, and let me ask you this, do you think well, it seems like they knew about your product. So do you think they maybe just honestly didn't think that, okay, hers is for dogs and it's for outside use, ours is for cats, more so inside use, so we don't think that we're infringing the patent? Do you think it was, I don't want to say an honest mistake, but do you think they were kind of going at it? Obviously, it was a quality product, so they took some time to kind of really think about things. Do you think it was, they thought they were doing something that was maybe legal on their end and not, because like you said, the copycats, they're going to do it cheaply. They're trying to just get as much money until they get caught or whatever the case may be. But this other company seems like they kind of went at it differently. So do you think that was like they thought they were doing like a good thing or a legal thing, or?
Yes. So one thing that I try to live by is I take people at face value. And so when they first reached out after I had removed their listing on Amazon, they said, look, we didn't realize that this product was infringing on your IP. We're very sorry. And if you're open to it, we would love to discuss the opportunity of potentially licensing your IP. We don't think that it competes with your dog product. We've now looked at your product. So from the first interaction, they were very forthcoming. And I think that you can really judge somebody on the first meeting, that first handshake. And I always felt like it was just done in a way where I believe that they genuinely felt like they weren't trying to rip off my product.
I got you. No, nice. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I just have maybe two questions. And again, one of the questions was a similar question that I asked you at the end of our first interview, as far as advice to aspiring entrepreneurs who are maybe looking to get off into the entrepreneurship game. They have an idea, they have a product that they want to kind of bring to the market and kind of really go through the ups and the downs of kind of business. What advice would you give to that person?
It's a great thing. I would say community. So this Shark Tank community is amazing, but it is just one of many, and so many are open. So you could find a community probably local to you, especially if you're in the US, and even if you're not in the US, I mean, I know entrepreneur communities worldwide. And find a community, because the less that you have to reinvent the wheel, like your product might be unique, but starting a business isn't.
For sure.
So if you can learn from others even before you open up that first store, you'll be doing yourself a favor. And if I had to go back, such an organic path for me. And one thing I wish I would have done was even ask for more mentorship, more guidance at every turn. Hey, I'm thinking about switching over to Shopify. Let me talk to 6 people who run a Shopify store and learn from them before I pick my theme, before I open up that first store.
And look, I can attest to Meghan's her dedication, or what she's saying about community. I think after the first interview that we did, she sent me emailed me a few different just kind of communities, or just like companies. I want to call them companies, but like who are dealing with the IP space and kind of being able to protect IP and whatnot. So she sent those to me kind of based on her getting access to them. So she's definitely big on community. Then the last thing, and maybe the most important thing, how can people get a hold of SwiftPaws? How can people follow SwiftPaws? How can people purchase the product? And I know we're going into the summertime, even though it's a little chilly here in
it's coming.
In Tampa.
It's cold in Tampa right now. Like I'm
a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed. I was in Atlanta in December, and I thought, for whatever reason, I packed all shorts. I thought it was going to be shorts every day, and I'm like wearing a big jacket. So I'm like, what is going on with the South here? But how can people kind of purchase one of these, courses for their dog, especially as we kind of roll into hopefully some warmer weather here?
Yeah, so the easiest way is just swiftpaws.com, but we're on pretty much every social media platform. If you look for SwiftPaws, you will find us. And I want to say this too, we've got range of products now. So our products are an investment, but now we have other products like flirt poles and reconfigurable puzzle toys by an amazing European brand called Posler. And we're also doing some collaborations with other brands like Betterbone. And what is so amazing is the pet industry is small. And so now we get to offer some really awesome products that are even under $50, right? Something that hopefully everybody at any price point can afford. And then the other thing I would say is, it doesn't cost a dime to add a little bit of enrichment to your dog's day. So while I would love for you to check out SwiftPaws and look at our products and make the investment if you're ready, I encourage everybody to go and do something new with their dog or cat tomorrow. If you have a dog and you go out the door and you take your walk every day and you turn to the right and walk around the block, go out the door and turn to the left. Literally taking the same walk backwards, you would be surprised at how new that becomes of an experience for your dog.
Wow.
Or if you have a cat or a dog, you could do a little exploration box. You could take a box. I'm sure we all have an Amazon package that we got in the recent history. And you can crumple up some paper, throw some treats in the bottom, and they get to forage for that. So while I encourage everybody to explore enrichment, I know that we are all on different budgets. And no matter what your budget is, try something new with your pet. I think you'll have a good time.
No, for sure. So look at. I'm gonna say, hey, go buy SwiftPaws, and to the extent that you can't do that, then do something with your pet. But it was an amazing update, Megan, and hopefully we can do it again sooner rather than later. I'm excited to be here over the weekend, and I'm sure we'll definitely be in communication over the weekend. And audience, hopefully you guys enjoyed the update. And again, as always, make sure you're protecting that IP.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.